Call this March 2026, March 24th, 2026 City Commission meeting to order. Will you join me in the flag salute?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a proclamation tonight. Is Daisho right?
Yes.
All right. This is a proclamation, Office of the Mayor, City of Pittsburg, Kansas. Proclamation. Whereas all young children deserve quality early learning environments that support them as capable and competent lifelong learners. And whereas young children need skilled, educated, competent, consistent, and compensated early childhood educators, and whereas early childhood educators promote the intellectual, emotional, and physical development of children, which in turn prepares them to be responsible and contributing members of society. And whereas high-quality early childhood education depends on high-quality childhood educators who ensure that children supported by families have the early experiences they need for a strong foundation. And whereas early childhood professionals and others who make a difference in the lives of young children in Pittsburgh deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas we celebrate the 55th anniversary of the Week of the Young Child so that we can continue to recognize and advance early childhood education profession. Now therefore, I, Chuck Mansell, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, Kansas, do hereby proclaim April 12th to April 18, 2026 as the Week of the Young Child, and recognize that the future of our community and state depends on the quality of early childhood experiences provided to our young children today. Would you like to say something?
I don't have anything to say, but we just thank you for your support.
Well,
And we have a lot of activities coming up during that week, so if everybody wants to look for them on our Facebook pages through Parents Teachers for County and Southeast Kansas Superstar. Thank you very much.
Could I have Reverend Mark Chambers come forward and lead us in a prayer?
Good evening, everyone. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Holy Father, as we gather this evening and to discuss our city business, we begin in your peace. And may that peace surround us all. And may your spirit guide us as we think and as we speak and do all things with wisdom and caring for what is best for our city's future. Father, we ask that you continue to bless our city, bless our elected and appointed leaders, our fire and our police, and all employees who with dedication keep our needs and safety as a first priority. Father, bless and protect our nation to care for the citizens and our elected leaders. Father, when this meeting has completed this evening, may we all leave in harmony with one another. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. Moving on to public input. Is there anyone that would like to come forward with any concerns they have and speak in public input? State your name and address.
Curtis Wakeman, 402 East Highway 400, Weir, Kansas. Reside in Crawford County. I'm here tonight to represent soccer. as we can all tell, soccer is a big ticket item for us soccer community. I'm a passionate soccer dad of just volunteering. My kids kind of put me on the spot a few seasons ago, said, "Dad, can you step up to be a coach?" And I was like, "I'll just do assistant coaching for now. There's still much soccer for me to learn." So I'm still learning and growing with the sport as it's growing in our community. I'd like to represent that I'm beyond the city, that Pittsburg is now growing. The soccer in Pittsburg is now growing outside the city limits. As you can see behind me, there is a plethora of us out here. I've been with the Pittsburg Iguanas since Coach Rain has founded the Iguanas. I've been with the SEK for approximately 2 to 3 years. 3 years now, and that is our all girls. I have an oldest daughter, 11, representing on both sides, so she does both green and the blue to pink as well. After watching many of the meetings in the past, I am super nervous and excited that we have moved from public input to an item on the agenda, and couldn't be happier to hear about the soccer fields for our community and the growth of this ever-growing sport and bringing it into the community. Also, with watching some of your previous meetings, you guys are going into budgets and digging into things. So I'm going to give you guys some numbers from my personal budget that kind of relate, that I feel might be helpful in the future and development of soccer within Pittsburg. On average, we have an 8 to 10 week season that we're traveling over to Joplin. In that 8 to 10 week season, that window alone, my family has personally spent about $500 that is going outside. So with us having over 150 kids and just SEK and Iguanas alone, not all families are probably not going to shop all there, but so for general round speak, 60% of us spending that in an 8 to 10 week just season of fall, we're looking at around 45 to 50,000. Now we're going to do that 2 times a year. We have a spring league and a fall league as well. So granted, this is just all revenue, just money in general. I don't know what's profit. We're not going to get into that, but just giving round numbers into the whole budgeting that you guys are digressing into. I'm very excited to hear that soccer has been moved into the improvements to the growth of youth sports in our community. Understanding that there are other projects and needs of this area also contribute to it as well. So a yes vote tonight would make a strong support for the kids and supporters that you see behind me. I appreciate your time and continued support for this ever-growing sport to enrich our sports history inside the community. Now granted, we have a long road ahead of us to keep on going, but opportunities always take hard work. And as we have in soccer, we have a saying, hard work pays off. What pays off? Hard work. Thank you for your time.
Hey, I just want to say, I have a grandson in Florida, and I don't understand soccer. He's 8 years old. It's a big-time thing down there. And just like you're saying, 2 different seasons, and it looked like it's a big-time thing here.
I would like to say something. I got bit by the soccer bug to watching soccer when I was living in Europe for 3 years, and I was surprised that we didn't have more soccer in this area when I came back here. And of course, football is a big thing. But I'm really happy to see this. But however, you guys have got to step up too. You got to have some skin in this game. The city is putting out a lot of money, so we need ideas and we need other thinking, other processes. We talked about sanitation earlier, cleanliness, and all these other things. So we're going to be asking you to help.
Awesome. Well, we'll be more than happy to help.
I can continue on with what I was saying. I don't understand soccer. I go down there and watch my grandson play soccer. I know it's a big thing, and I know what it does for the area. Soccer is everywhere, and what I'm seeing here is probably just a small part of what's going on. Just like Doc said, we're gonna need your input and your help once it gets going, if we approve it tonight. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but I don't wanna walk out here if it doesn't, so anyway. Anyway, you're doing all a good job, thanks for coming.
All right, thank you for your time.
Anybody else like to speak in public input?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Byron.
Byron Boldrini, live just outside of town, 523 East 540th Avenue. I'm also new to soccer. I did the other games. But this is the most popular sport on the planet. People are getting into it. And I think another important aspect, that was incredible, by the way. Great, really good. The bonuses of bringing it here are just kind of unlimited. Like it's a very accessible sport. Anybody can do it. It takes very little investment. It's a good opportunity for kids to get out and do things. And the facilities management, I mean, you can count on these people. It's a wildly dedicated group. They're very passionate about it. The kids are very passionate about it. And as far as just a straight up economic boon to the city, this is incredible. Like he's saying, we all travel to Joplin, and invariably you're going to spend money there. And to break it down just economically, it's a good thing. It's incredible to have people coming into town, and then it wouldn't just be us still staying around. It's other people coming in, tournaments. You know, it's a draw, and it gets people in town, gets people talking about Pittsburgh. I just think it's a great thing. Like I say, accessible, fun, dedicated bunch, and I really hope we go forward with this. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Byron. Anybody else like to speak in public input? Not seeing none. We're going to close the public input portion of this and move into, well, before we move into, Stu made a suggestion on the agenda. Why don't we move this up?
Item. Could we move item? Well, if you want to do the consent agenda, we could.
We can do the consent.
Oh, yeah, let's
agenda.
do the consent. I forgot about that.
I'd move-
I'm all excited about that.
Yeah,
If there's anyone to pull anything off, but I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I'd second.
All right, it's been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, roll call vote.
Brooks.
yes.
Height.
Yes.
Mansell.
Yes,
Perry.
Yes.
Sigley.
Yes.
all right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask if we could move item D and consider the following up to in front of the other items on the agenda.
I second it.
For the
It's
sake
been
of
moved
the
and
crowd.
seconded. All in favor of moving item D in front of everything else on the agenda? Roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Here we go. Property acquisition, 1300 East Centennial. Consider staff request to enter into a real property sale agreement between Mercy Health, Southwest Missouri / Kansas Communities and the city of Pittsburgh, in which the city will purchase from Mercy Health, Southwest Missouri / Kansas Communities approximately 23.7 acres of property located at 1300 East Centennial Drive in the amount of $371,094 for the development of a public park and soccer sports complex.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. And obviously, we're excited. This group is very excited, but we're excited to join you in bringing this to you. We have been sourcing and looking for the perfect property and location to bring soccer fields to the city of Pittsburgh. You guys have listened to our community members, our soccer community. We have listened. Even though we couldn't say we were working on it, we've all been working really hard on this. So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody here because this is super exciting, and I'm getting nervous and excited, and I usually don't. So this is a big deal. And I don't know how to play soccer, but you guys can teach me. So I'll give just a few things. So over the past 7 months, obviously we've had multiple soccer representatives that have came to this podium and so respectfully and kindly shared their need and their want and even educated us on certain things. So I thank them for that. A little bit of data from the Joplin Athletic Complex. That complex has baseball fields, which of course are turf, so we know that we're going to move towards that as well, but it also has soccer fields. And so when a lot of these individuals are leaving Pittsburgh and going to Joplin, we were able to use our Placer AI data that platform that we use to pull and track leakage and leakage leaving Pittsburgh and going to that exact location. So just to give you an idea, an average of 4,000 people left Pittsburgh and drove to exactly the Joplin Athletic Complex last year alone. Total visits to that complex, so coming from everywhere, was 217,000, and that's 57 individuals last year. 40% of the visitors come from more than 10 miles away, which would encompass Pittsburgh, of course, but also Parsons, Columbus, Carl Junction, Webb City, it would also even Fort Scott. So people are coming from Frontenac, everywhere, to the Joplin Athletic Complex to play. We can also pull and track the before and after, so we can see where they went and before they went to the athletic complex, how long they were at the athletic complex, and then the after. And just to not freak everybody out, it doesn't pull your individual personal information. It's simply tracking your cell phone and your device. So, it's also not going to take into consideration kids. So these numbers can be a little bit skewed because if a kid doesn't have a cell phone, it's not pulling that number. So I'm sure we know there's a lot of kids at that complex that it's not counting. So these numbers would, of course, be higher. But they went to Casey's, Walmart, Starbucks, North Park Mall, Sonic, McDonald's, and Subway. And then again, average time spent at the complex was 124 minutes. So just to support with some data and some numbers for you guys to understand the leakage and what we are losing to Joplin that we could have right here in Pittsburgh, and I hope if you approve tonight, we will. This is the location. So we have a rendering over here. If you can see it, commissioners, you have a copy of that in front of you. But this is the map. So if you're thinking Mercy Hospital directly to the east is the 23.7 acres, including the lake at the back on the south side there. That is the property that we are asking for your approval tonight to purchase. Keeping in mind that that purchase was part of the bond sale, so that is how the proceeds would be, or the purchase would be paid for. And then here's the rendering. So there was a lot of thought into the naming of this. We did speak with Mercy marketing representatives and their public information manager to come up with a name that we thought would work. We came up with Pittsburgh Mercy Park, which is really exciting. We did not incorporate the word soccer because, as we said, there is the lake at the back, which will be a public park, which will have hopefully walking trails and a lot of things coming to that. So if you're not a soccer person or you're not playing soccer, that's okay. There's something for you as well. So this would suit everyone in the community. So just to go through a few of the bullet points really quick, $975,000 was incorporated into our bond sale list. $371.94 was the acquisition cost for the property, if approved tonight. That leaves us with $603,000 for the initial development. So really what we're looking at is 3 championship-sized soccer fields. We can consider, a practice field or smaller fields, but youth soccer, and everybody behind me is probably going to say that's not right, ladies, so just bear with me. But youth soccer, I believe we can split the championship and do 2 youth soccer games on each of those fields. So we hope to be able to host some tournaments and also give space for our community. We do have in the design 280 plus parking stalls, so that parking lot we did make bigger with some feedback from you all right there off Centennial. And then you'll notice on the left-hand side of the rendering, which would be on the east side of the property, that goes all the way back to the lake. So we would have parking along that road, a 2-way road for overflow, and anybody that just wants to use the lake and the park area back there. And then restrooms, concessions, of course, a maintenance building. There will be obviously some maintenance from city crews, and we want to have a storage facility there. And then, of course, lighting and additions as we move along. But the initial thing we need tonight is approval of the land acquisition, and we hope that you will consider it. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Kim, we talked to Darren about this a little bit. If we approve this tonight, how long is it going to take before we start playing soccer out there?
That's a wonderful question. I love that question.
It's not going to be tomorrow.
No. So there's going to have to be a lot more thought into the development and the layout. This is obviously a conceptual drawing, very preliminary, but we know we can fit 3 full-size soccer fields on the property, which was the main goal. So we need to look at, will it be turf, will it be sod, will there need to be irrigation? All those things will all have to be considered. If there is turf, we're obviously going to look for sponsorship. We're going to have additional funding for that, as everyone behind me knows that, and you all know there's a pretty high cost to turf, but the maintenance is less. We wouldn't need irrigation, so there's pros and cons. So that'll be a whole proposal there on how we go about that. But basically for us, we would look at possibly closing on or before June 22nd, and that is the timing of the contract due diligence period. We've got some environmental review, surveying, lot split, drainage easement, so, we have to consider this was never meant to be sold off separately. It's developed for Mercy and their clinics and their hospital and things like that. So we want to work with Mercy on that and make sure we're paying attention to that. So we're looking at probably June 22nd before we would even close.
We have, and we have approached this as a public-private partnership. Mercy was very patient with us during the price negotiations in honor of their mission, which is to serve communities. And we obviously had it appraised, but we obviously, as the city does, we came in under the appraisal because we were trying to get in it for something reasonable. And we knew that we would have roughly $1 million to develop it. So with the money that's left after the sale, I would love to see the public-private partnership continue with possible private donors to help us get at least one, if not two of these fields to actually artificial turf. Our plan in the $600,000 that we do have left over from the bond sale that we're going to put towards this phase one is to put in water, is to put in sod and at least two fields and get it going so we can hopefully do something. Now, obviously, Mother Nature has a final say in everything, but we would love to promise soccer by this fall, but the reality it may be next spring before it gets going. But the fields will be there. They will be open to the public, but I think with a real solid public-private partnership, the approach to this whole thing, we could probably get the facility we could all be proud of, and that would include probably 2 artificial turf fields out of the 3.
So even if approved, don't schedule practices there yet.
Does that answer your question?
I think this is great. I know all the commissioners do. The staff, the city's been working very hard on this. The commissioners have been. The city of Pittsburgh needs this.
How's it feel to be on the ground floor of something that's never been in Pittsburgh before? You can't fathom how much we've talked about this. We've heard you all along. You've been so patient. And we kept going, if they only knew we're working on it. And then when it was coming to this is big. And it's all about you guys and us together. And this is your house. This is where you're going to play. And I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of the city. This is a great day for sports.
Was that a
What else we
motion?
gotta do,
No.
Kim?
I'd like to make a motion.
DJ made a motion to approve.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
And Mayor, if we can, we'd love to have everybody up here with you 5 to get a quick picture if we can.
Hey, and one thing,
Yes.
Mr. Mwathe, who's been here from the very beginning, asked me to mention this, and it's of course on my mind. Toby Book, who passed away recently, was our parks director for a long time. Toby really is the one that initiated this and has been carrying the water for many years, trying to break me down and find a way to get the money. And between Quincy Street improvements and other bond improvements, it always seemed like it took a second. But Toby, I know he's here tonight, a terrific guy, put a lot of time and sweat into this, and I know he's looking down smiling, so I want to make sure we acknowledge him. And yes, Kim, let's get everybody up here for a picture if we can.
Okay. Come on up, everybody. You guys want to just stay there?
Yeah.
be a big part of this.
Oh, yes, I hope so.
Hey, you guys can kneel down if you want. Together.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for coming.
all right.
Oh my gosh. Look at them all. We may have to bring. We may have to have you squat, like sit down in the front. If you can sit down in the front. And then if you guys in the back can kind of squat down. We just can't see the commissioners. There we go. That's a big group.
Sure you can be seen?
Hey, 3, 2, 1. Let's do hooray. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Good job. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
You got my school bus.
Thank you.
All right.
Whoa.
Thank you. Good job.
Hey, thanks. Hey, thanks, guys. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
That's the most fun we've had in a long time. Congratulations. Wow. And that's great.
Good call on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the rest of it.
Yeah, that was a great call.
That would have been a long night for that many kids.
Notice the temperature in the room kind of went cool now.
Hey, Darren.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing Toby up.
Oh, absolutely.
We're still gonna go with Toby Lake, right? Book Lake?
I think that's the plan. Still named the lake after him.
So it's called the Pittsburg Mercy Park, but is it Toby Brook Complex?
Toby Brook Lake,
Toby Brook Lake.
assuming you guys go for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
All right. Well, wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
Now moving back to special presentation. Economic Development Quarterly Report. Director of Economic Development, Blake Benson, and Pittsburg State University Associate Vice President of Economic and Community Engagement, Wesley Streeter, will present the Quarterly Economic Development Report.
I'm going to throw my name in with those two. I'm Shane Kanar. I'm a local business owner here in Pittsburgh. I think I know all of you. I'm also chair of the Economic Development Committee at this point in time, a group of volunteers in our community. I know it's very hard to tell from my youthful appearance, but I was chair before we made this transition to this partnership with Pitt State and the Chamber of Commerce. And there's just a few things that I want to highlight. First and foremost, I really feel bad because I feel like the evening's already reached its crescendo with the approval of the soccer fields, so everything else is a letdown. So I apologize for that. But the reality is our city commission has done so much to help economic development. When we moved back to this area in 2006, trying to grow our practice, but I really wanted to give back to our community, and economic development struck a chord with me because I think so many of the opportunities we have as a city, so many of the growth and the ability to do things like soccer fields comes from job creation, having people move to Pittsburgh, and economic development plays a vital role in that. And our commission's been wonderfully supportive. And through this period of time, since we made the transition in 2012 to this, what I call joint venture, and I always think of the Chicago Bulls back in the day with the triangle approach, we now have the city, the chamber, and the university, three of the big players in Pittsburgh working together. And when we think about economic development, so many of our opportunities come from the relationships that all three of those entities have. The ability to build that trust with businesses and people looking to move. And we've seen that growth happen. And not only that, we do have a group of volunteers on the Economic Development Committee. The amount of work that's done by all three of those members to prepare those proposals before they come to the committee. As a business owner, I can tell you I've come with a few ideas that they've shot down quickly because they didn't make sense. And they've also fostered and supported ideas that helped our community grow. This teamwork approach has really been vital for us. And I want to thank all three of those entities for the support that they've given us throughout this period of time. The prep that goes into it before we see it, and then again before you guys really have the opportunity to work on it as a commission, is unbelievable. Whether it's making sure it's financially viable, making sure there's a need in Pittsburgh, making sure that the ROI exists. All of those things we can see fruition. We can see the FedEx distribution center. We see Kansas Crossing. We see Block 22. We see these opportunities, and I think we live in a very vibrant community because of the work of those three entities. And I've had a chance to talk with several of you one-on-one, and one of the big things we always talk about is ROI. And I don't want to get in right now and steal their thunder, but what I'm going to tell you is when we look at ROI, money spent by the city, and what it brings back to us, I think that this venture has provided a multiplier that's really hard for me to fathom, and that opportunity exists for that to continue into the future. So with that, I want to give my support to all three of these people, and I want to turn it over to Blake and Wes to present exactly what has happened since 2012. Thank you guys very much for all your work.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Dr. Knar. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Commission. I will echo Dr. Knar's words when I say, on behalf of the Chamber and Pittsburgh State, thank you for the opportunity to serve on this economic development team. Thank you to Darren for the idea, and thank you for the continued support of the City Commission since 2012. That's how long this economic development approach has been in place. And what have we gotten out of that? What have been the results? Nearing $1 billion in economic development projects just since 2013 alone. And that, Commissioners, is significant for a community of our size, but even more significant is how diversified our economy is. Much like your retirement portfolio, you want your economy to be diversified because that way if one sector has headwinds, then it doesn't drag your entire economy down like it does in some other communities that are so closely tied to just one business sector. But I think this teamwork approach to economic development has helped make this possible because whether it's the city, whether it's the university, whether it's the chamber, we all bring different resources to the table, different contact lists and areas, and so that really helps us make our economy more diversified and more weatherproof to various dips that could again drag the entire economy and community down with it. But what does that really mean? Those are just a bunch of numbers. This, I think, is why all of us collectively do what we do. This is the increase in average median wage just since 2021. You can see that that's been an increase of almost 38%. And I don't have to remind you all that it wasn't that long ago that USA Today labeled Crawford County as the poorest county in Kansas. That was only about 10 years or so ago. With the work that we collectively have done, we have now moved up to 73rd in the state. And we're not jumping up and down saying that's where we want to stay. But I think it's an opportunity for us to step back and celebrate that because it shows the progress that we're making. And probably even more encouraging is that we're within 1% of the next 5 counties. And Mr. Mayor, if we leapfrog those counties, which I know that we will go from the lower 1/3 among Kansas counties to the middle 1/3 in terms of median wage. So that again is a result of all of our collective efforts because that means more money in the pockets of people in Pittsburgh and the residents that we all serve. So we want to make sure that we capture that. Also the growth in middle income households and the per capita income growth. And much of the numbers that you'll see tonight were discovered and produced by Dr. Michael Davidson, who's with us. So I also want to publicly thank Dr. Davidson for the work that he does in helping us find these numbers and then producing the economic profile that goes out to all the business owners in Pittsburgh. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Wes to talk about Pittsburgh State specific projects, and then I'll talk about the non-PSU projects.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you for allowing us to speak with you tonight, and also thank you for your support since 2012. So just real quick, run through a few things that we're going to talk about. We have a new streamlined division with the university right now. We were research and economic development, and we are now economic and community engagement, more specifically focused on economic development, with still our collaboration with our research side of the university. We have, you can see this picture off to the right, our Research and Innovation District, our prove-out facility that you've heard about in the past, our KBI partnership, which you're going to hear a little bit more about later, and Eagle Picture Technologies, which is the building in the middle that's further along. I'll give you a Gorilla Rising update, talk about some Small Business Development Center impact, and then the Forge Grant. So right here, this is the most up-to-date picture, I think, of this week, because you can see steel going up at the KBI facility. Okay, so if you were to look at this a year ago, this was entirely grass. Okay, and so with the help of the commission and the city and the chamber and all our other partners, this has become a field that is no longer a field. Okay, so you have the prove-out facility on the right side in the middle, like I said, is Eagle Picture, and the KBI Regional Crime Lab in the first side. So the point of this, okay, is workforce development. Okay, so we're trying to align what we're doing with the needs of our community and our region. Okay, and that is a Department of Commerce. That's one of their key drivers and focuses right now is innovation and workforce development. So a partnership that matters. I wanted to highlight this partnership and let them explain the value of this this project that we're doing. So the KBI facility. Okay, so let me give you a real quick backstory. So how did this project begin? Okay, it was a conversation over the fence with Blake Flanders of the Board of Regents and Director Mativi from the KBI. Okay, they have a facility in Pittsburgh that wasn't up to par of what they needed for their facility, as far as chemistry labs and their forensic science that they were doing, and intake of evidence and things like that. Okay, so they had that conversation, and then they went, had that conversation with Pitt State. Hey, what can we do to make this happen? Okay, and that's what sparked it. Okay, and then initially, okay, so we took that idea, and the commission approved to award us $84,000 to pitch an idea and actual renderings of something, and we took it to the federal level, and that's where the KBI, along with Pitt State, got $40 million to start this project. So I'm going to bring up the current project manager, who's Jeff Stokes with the KBI, and then somebody that knows a lot about projects, T.L. Price. He's the director of the lab at Washburn, but also the project manager of the Washburn facility when they did that project there. And I want to have them just talk a little bit about the project, and so you can see where it's at right now and the collaboration that happened because of it.
Well, good evening, and let me first start by saying thank you. As leaders in this community, first of all, to have an opportunity to speak to you is fantastic, because we haven't probably had an opportunity like this just to thank you for your efforts and what you're doing in your community here that's really making an impact. From my perspective, about 30 plus years with the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, and you have been a continued partner, which is huge for an agency like ours since at least as long as I can remember, 26 years ago is when we first moved staff into this area, and then outgrew that particular facility. And it should not fall on deaf ears that without the hard work and dedication of many members of this community, that the KBI has been able to sustain a presence here in this community, which is phenomenal for us. The resources it provides to Southeast Kansas in the way that not just students are going to look at programs at Pitt State University, but also already commissioned law enforcement across the state in this area will have access to resources that they currently don't have access to. That is hugely important. I normally don't get to talk to a group like this. Usually I'm under oath and get to talk about particular testing in our area, and it's not nearly as fun as it is to talk to a group like this. So I just want to start by saying thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. The Bureau appreciates your continued collaboration with us. I'm a little disappointed in Wes that he introduced me twice with the word Washburn in it. That just happens to be our location. So I don't want anybody to look at me poorly because of that. But we do have a very similar relationship with Washburn University, and we've tried to mimic a lot of the things that have been successful with that campus with what we see at Pitt State. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you tonight and say thanks again. And we look forward to many, many, many years of a good partnership down here. Thanks.
So again, I just want to echo what TL just said. We appreciate everything that, the support that Pittsburgh has given us, the city's given us. And just give you a little update on where we're at with the progress on the building. We're currently putting up steel right now. We are currently on schedule and on budget, and looking at about mid-December being able to take occupancy, and then probably the keys totally handed over to us by mid-spring. So again, I just want to thank the commission and open up for any questions you might have for us.
Can you say that one more time? On scale and on budget?
On schedule and on budget.
On schedule, on budget. Hey, that's all right.
Music to ears, for sure.
Yes.
Can you give us an idea of the number of people that'll be working in the facilities?
I can give you a general. So on the agent side for the investigations, we're going to have about 20 agents. I think there's going to be 4 scientists.
Yep, double the staff.
Yeah, which is doubling the staff. We're going to have 2 evidence control specialists. We have a facility manager who we just gave an offer to yesterday. Yesterday.
Yep.
We'll have a janitorial staff, and we have space to bring on an IT personnel. Another evidence control for the agent side, and a law enforcement victim advocate, and I believe cyber.
And then our relationship.
And exactly, and so KHP is going to have a presence within the building. Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center is going to have a regional training center, a full-time person at the facility, which will host a multitude of regional trainings, which would be great for this area. We've never had that. And then we obviously have the academic portion, and obviously the university, with the University Police Department going to be in there with us.
Very cool. I'm excited about this project. As a civilian before I became a commissioner, I was excited about it. And now getting to sit here and listen to the production and how it's going and what it's going to do for this community, I can't say no. It's amazing. So I'm glad to have you guys.
Thank you.
And just want to add, so they talked a little bit about PSU. So there's going to be PSU space, classroom, research area. So it is direct workforce development right there. They're going to have a mirror image of what the KBI guys and gals are doing right here, and then they're going to have a mirror image like real world experience in a classroom. And this facility for our region, very important. And this could have easily went to a different community. And with your help, it's staying here in Pittsburgh and becoming a phenomenal facility. Things that we don't want to have, but we need, like a child victims task force is going to be in this building. So a lot of important things that are for our entire region, which I think is a huge, huge bonus.
It's going to be better than Washburn.
Yes, yes, yes. Audience participation, I like it. Yes. So Guerrilla Rising, just a quick update there. Also on time, on budget, and maybe they don't like when you say this ahead of schedule, so I'm not going to say it because they said they don't like when you say that. But Guerrilla Rising project, so the Best Hotel, okay, that's going to add 60 more beds downtown. And I spoke with them this morning because they're having kids sign up for apartments and things like that there. We're ahead of where we were last year. So right now downtown we'll have 160 beds, okay? Mostly are single bedrooms. There's a couple 2 bedrooms and studios and things like that. But we already have 100 apartments taken, which is ahead of schedule last year, okay? Enrollment's going up a little bit, so we're not taking away from main campus housing. We need the housing. We need the space. And so the 3rd through 5th floor is going to be a learning, living community. Okay, one cool aspect or a cool story from that, the very first person that signed up for a floor or for a room on the 3rd floor is, I won't say her name, but she owns the Tater Pit. Okay, and she's an entrepreneur, an SBDC client. and a business student. And she is going to be on that living learning community that's going to be in collaboration with downtown and the College of Business. Also on the first floor, some spaces we're going to have there. It's going to open up some other spaces downtown that we can rent, have businesses rent for offices and things like that, because we have a lot of inquiries for people looking for office space. The Center for Reading, okay, what is that? That's an outward-facing entity of the university, helping kids with dyslexia and reading difficulties, collaborating with our local school districts and a 54-district area. We call it our catchment area. Okay, Connect Ed, another portion of our Center for Reading and College of Education connection. Retraining and helping retrain teachers in areas that they might need support in. Then our Small Business Development Center. This is kind of a hidden gem. Not real advertising. We're going to do better about marketing that. So what we need to recruit new businesses, right? But we need to be very supportive of our current local and small business owners. They necessarily might not be able to afford a consultant or something like that. So this is, I don't want to say free. It's no fee, okay? Because it's very good advice. They can do cash flow projections. They can help you with your payroll. They can help you set up an LLC, all those things, okay? Which is a huge benefit to the community. Again, an outward-facing entity for the community. And then we'll also have some community meeting space that individuals can rent. And the College of Business, they're going to have 700 majors in the business school. This new facility, about 360 seating capacity, 9 classrooms and instructional spaces, and they're going to have about 60 full-time, part-time, and graduate students in that building every single day, and anywhere between 150 and 300 students every day walking through that building. SBDC, I talked about it real quick. I just want to, we serve a 15-county area, and we're the home, the hub for the SBDC in Southeast Kansas. Okay, just this last year alone, over 2,000 hours in client hours, okay, actual face-to-face time with clients, 28 new business starts, 1.65 million capital infusion. So Pittsburg area, just real quick, if you were to divide those numbers in half, that's the impact that is made in the Pittsburg area, okay? So we have 14 new business starts in Pittsburg, about 1,000 hours, okay? Actually only about 130 clients, but the other two were.
And I will echo Wes's comments about what an incredible resource that is for the small businesses in our community. Almost without a doubt, when someone approaches us initially about approaching the city for RLF funding, especially if it's starting a new business, the first place we send them is a small business development center, because chances are they know what the business is. They know that particular part of it. But I see some business owners here, you know, there's a lot to running a business other than the primary service that you offer. So what the Small Business Development Center can do is just make sure they've thought through everything. How much labor is going to cost? How much competition you have in the area? What kind of rent are you prepared to pay? And so more often than not, when potential small business owners start meeting with the Small Business Development Center, they realize they're maybe not quite as ready as they thought they were, so they pull back, and then when they do approach you, they're much more ready to go, and I feel like Small Business Development Center does a great job of saving them time, expense, and potential problems down the line just by meeting with them on the front end. So again, they're as a federal agency, they're actually prohibited from advertising or marketing or anything like that. So word of mouth opportunities like this is how we get the word out about the Small Business Development Center.
And another neat aspect is anybody that starts a business, what's one thing you have to do at some point? Some form or fashion, you have to exit that business. They can also help you exit a business or figure out what your next steps are going to be. And if we don't have the expertise here for that, our connections within the state, we can have you on a phone call or a Zoom with somebody that can help you with that. Forge grant, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but this was something that we applied for and was awarded. Was a huge benefit to our community and counties. Specifically, if you just look at Crawford County, we were able to give away grants in the form of capital improvements and technical service. Okay, and it's not just, I don't want to just say it's just giving money away. These businesses had to put some skin in the game too. They also have to report on it so that we can report back to the state what they're doing with this funding. We had a couple instances where they didn't follow through with what they were supposed to, so they had to return the money, which allowed us to give it to somebody else. Okay, so it was the reporting factor, and there was skin in the game from them as well.
And real quickly, we'll also recognize Dr. Thomas Newsom, president of Pittsburg State, who's with us today. He has not only been a great addition to the university and the community, but has cited the city's role in the university's role in economic development as one of the things that made this opportunity attractive. So I appreciate having President Newsom here. A couple of larger projects and expansions that we saw last year, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Pitt Plastics. This was a huge project. This almost doubled their local footprint of their Pittsburgh facility, 200,000 square feet. It took about 18 months, but that did come to fruition in 2025. Another one is Apex Stages. The city has had an opportunity not only helping Todd get that started, but also now 2 expansions. That is on track for completion later this spring, and so we'll be scheduling a ribbon cutting in the very near future. The Wildcat Data Project. Pittsburgh now has its first data center. I know a lot of our residents are reading about these. The contracts that you have with us are the reason that this is in the city of Pittsburgh, because first we can thank Evergy for sending the Wildcat project to this area because we had electrical capacity. But initially they were going to go outside the city limits because in most of the communities where they go, they just assume the city may not be easy to work with, so it's just easier for them to locate out in the county. They called me, they came by and met with me. I told them that Pittsburgh is much different, started showing them property in the airport industrial park that would be a better fit for what they were looking for, and they ended up locating inside the city of Pittsburgh as a result of those conversations. And what that means for the residents and what that means for the city of Pittsburgh, Mr. Mayor, is you see there in the bottom right-hand corner, these are estimates provided by Evergy based on a 10 megawatt data center. Because the day that this became operational, they became the largest user of electricity anywhere in this area. I mean, even more than Sugar Creek. So based on 10 megawatts, Evergy has estimated that the monthly revenue for the city of Pittsburgh just on the franchise fee will be $20,000 per month. Sales tax on electricity, that before we started doing this project, I didn't realize you even paid sales tax on electricity, but that is estimated to be $10,000. Part of the incentive that you approved to help make this project possible was for the first 5 years to rebate back half of the franchise fee to the developer for the first 5 years to help them recoup their upfront cost. But the net result to the city of Pittsburgh, Mr. Mayor, is $20,000 a month. And as the city team can attest, it took very little expense to get them here. It didn't take building a road, it didn't take building a new water or sewer line or anything like that. This is just revenue to the city. And so that financial impact, I will point out, is more than enough to cover both of our contracts for the next year. But that was how that came about. And maybe the best part of it is this is at 10 megawatts. This existing data center has plans for a second phase that would go to 50 megawatts. So it would be 5 times the size that our existing one is now. We actually had a call with Evergy last week to get ahead of that and find out where they are with their data centers, where they are with their capacity, because the prospect has mentioned that they would want to go to 50 megawatts, but it's going to take a little bit of effort to get us there.
Blake?
Yes, sir.
You know, on that data center, once that went in, I've had a lot of concern from people calling about issues of these type of data centers. So in the future, I don't know, do we have a public hearing to listen to the public before we voted?
It came to you when we were putting together the incentive package. And I'm glad you asked that, Mr. Mayor, because you hear about data centers and there are a lot of misconceptions about data centers. One is that the really large ones are water cooled, and even though Pittsburgh has plenty of water, that wouldn't be a problem here. This one is small enough is that it doesn't require any sort of major investment in terms of water. It doesn't really, and Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it really uses any more water than we all use in our homes. The noise has not been a concern, but even being cognizant of neighbors like Apex, this data center, they're going to be building trees around their data center just to put a little bit more of a buffer, just to make sure that noise isn't an issue. So some of the concerns that you read about with these, 100, 500 megawatt call centers, that's just not an issue with this one. But to answer your original question, we did bring this to the City Commission before it was finalized. Another expansion last year was PRG Professional. This was about a $750,000 investment by Tyler Harrell and PRG. We'll be scheduling the ribbon cutting for that fairly shortly. He wants to put in the grass and make sure that it looks nice before he invites us all out for a party. But the city, again, very similar to Apex. The city has been with PRG every step of the way. Every time they've had a growth opportunity, the city's been able to play a role and help Tyler continue to grow and expand his company. We saw a lot of retail expansion on North Broadway, and certainly would credit Darren and Jay and Kim and Dexter and everybody on the city team that worked so hard on this. We talk a lot about the retail trade pull factor that shows that even with our proximity to Joplin, Pittsburgh is bringing in or keeping almost twice as many retail shoppers as we're losing to other communities, and being able to add Ulta, Rack Room Shoes, Five Below, along with Marshalls. That's just really helping us cement Pittsburgh's role in terms of a retail hub here in southeast Kansas.
My daughter's helping a lot with the Ulta.
Yes, my household is, doing its more than its share as well. Also, I credit the City Commission and the County Commission for supporting child care, the expansion of child care in Pittsburgh and Crawford County. Had the opportunity to cut the ribbon on the Grow at Eden child care facility, and of course Point J and Joe and Ron Skripsik at the Point Forward were a big part of this as well. But we're starting to hear from our employers that they're seeing the results of that. It's easier to recruit new people to come to our community because they don't necessarily have a 2-year wait to get those children into their facilities. So that's making it a little easier for our employers to recruit and retain employees that have children of this age. So in getting close to wrapping up, Mr. Mayor, these are the building renovations that we bring you from time to time. If you approve us, then we'll be bringing you another one as soon as we're done here this evening. But that totaled a little over $2 million in building renovations that were performed in Pittsburgh last year, and the city had the opportunity to help with a fraction of that. But overall, this is our annual number for 2025. There you can see almost $135 million in total project investment in Pittsburgh. And to get that, all we had to spend from the revolving loan fund was a little over $2.5 million. So that means less than 2% of that came from the RLF. So the ROI is certainly there to the residents, to the leaders of Pittsburgh, and to Dr. Knarr's point. The EDAC takes their charge very seriously as they consider recommendations to make to all of you to make sure that any use of the revolving loan fund does get that substantial ROI. But when you see numbers like that, it shows that they're careful, as are you, about the use of that, and we're putting it to good use. So I believe, unless Wes had anything else, we will again thank you and happy to stand for any questions you may have. It's not as exciting as the soccer, folks. Yeah.
No picture.
No, yeah, can we get a picture? Yeah.
So Blake,
Very vital.
do you feel comfortable saying that without that partnership that we have and have enjoyed since, I think you said 2012, that something like the data center would have maybe gone somewhere else? Had you not had the mechanisms in place that you have and have had to reach out to them and provide whatever information they needed?
I do, Commissioner, and not only that project, but that's also how the FedEx project came up. The FedEx project called us first because in their experience, the Chamber of Commerce was the first place that they checked. And so when they told us what they were looking at, First thing I did after I hung up the phone was walk across the street to Darren's office. He mobilized the city team, and that was aggressive. I mean, we had to have everything done in 18 months to include not only finding one site, but finding a fallback site, because Amazon has a tendency to find out where FedEx is going to put those facilities in, and they come and buy the ground out from underneath them. So they told us we had to find 2 sites. We had to buy both sites for them. We had to run both sites through the entire regulatory process and zoning process, not only from the city standpoint, but also with KDOT, with the understanding that if they didn't need the fallback location, that they would then sell it. And they told us we had 18 months or we weren't in the game. And it was only because of this relationship and this teamwork approach that we were able to make that $30 million project happen and create 165 new jobs basically overnight. But those are just a couple of examples that are possible with this teamwork approach.
Well, it's a pretty unique partnership. I mean, you obviously travel the state, and I'm sure entertain questions all the time in a multitude of your roles of how do you guys do that down in southeast Kansas? And I mean, I think what your presentation is tonight shows everyone that's how we do what we do down here.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, no.
And to that point, and you're probably not even aware of this just yet because it's just happened, but we got a call late last week from Aberdeen, South Dakota. It's a community a little bit bigger than Pittsburgh, but they have a university that's a little bit smaller than Pittsburgh State. And
Northern State University.
Northern State University. Well, they received a grant to study other communities that seem to have this university-city chamber relationship worked out. And they are bringing a group of 30 business and community leaders, including elected officials, their city manager, their university president. They're bringing them down to Pittsburgh in 3 weeks to spend 3 days here to look at how we do things here, because it is unique. Not a lot of communities have figured out this secret sauce, but that shows that sometimes we get used to seeing these on a regular basis, but then when you hear from somebody from the outside that says, I'd like to come see how you guys are doing that, it really validates what we're doing. So we look forward to hosting our friends from South Dakota.
What was your slide again, the total over, and what time frame was that, the 135, almost 135 million for 2.65 million investment?
Yeah.
That's just 2025?
Yeah, and really, as we look back 5 years, Mr. Commissioner, that number, the percentage, I think that the highest percentage we ever got to was maybe 5%. Some years, especially with the FedEx project, since it didn't ask for any incentives at all, I think it was less than 1%. But we're trending on average about 2 to 3% each year is what the city's percentage is from the RLF in terms of what the private sector is putting in.
And just like we mentioned earlier, the example of the KBI, that would have not even gotten off the ground if it weren't for this. And that's what initially got them off the ground. And some of that collaboration that Commissioner Height was talking about was KBI's federal advocacy and Pittsburgh State University's advocacy team, federal relations team, together went to DC and advocated for this funding. And we brought it, they brought it back to Pittsburgh, which was nice.
So what are we looking at, by the way, the ROI on this is fantastic. Most businesses would love to have.
I wish my portfolio looked like that.
Yeah. What are we looking at for the next year or 2 or 3? Same type of thing?
I think I'll turn it over to Wes for any answer he may want to give, but certainly carrying these projects to fruition on time, on schedule, on budget will certainly be a priority. But I think growth tends to spur more growth. And so just the calls that we're getting from other people, other companies, other developers that are interested and are approaching us about wanting to come to Pittsburgh, have no doubt it's not going to slow down any time in the next 3 to 5 years.
I have a question for Darren. How are we doing on industrial park space for potential future projects?
Well, we bought the farm a few years ago. That helped. We've kind of focused on just being rail out there where the Russells used to live. But there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. If the rail doesn't take off, we already have the offloading facility, so that's a positive. The airport, to Blake's point, the original data center is just a small footprint of what it was planned to be when it was, if it was 50 megawatts. But I think the impact, we're doing some work with the university right now, because it's clear that, you know, this commission and across the state, property tax relief is a huge deal. And so if we can imagine if that 10 megawatt becomes 50 and that 200,000 becomes $1.2 million a year, how much property tax at 180,000? You're looking at 10 mils of property tax right there. And that's how other communities have defeated the property taxes, because they have an electric utility or they have another revenue stream, because it's not realistic to think that you're going to cut back. Police and fire are the two biggest draws on the property tax. It's just set up that way. Everything else is basically a utility. So as long as we can identify new revenue streams, I think we have an opportunity to continue to reduce that. The other side of that coin for reducing or limiting property tax is to just get a bigger community with more people paying into the property tax. So obviously Kim's work in housing complements all of this work, but we have ample space, and I think the one thing we never really talk about is we have a tremendous supply of water for this state. If you go out west, that aquifer is basically drying up. It has been since I lived there, and it will only continue to. And then if you go to the north, the central part, you've got surface water is really how they come about. So they're always talking about what are they going to do with the reservoirs. Here, we literally have 4 wells. Matt could attest to this, sitting on 1,000 feet of water. That's why we have Sugar Creek, and we are always marketing ourselves for other food processors. So we're in a great spot. We have strategically done some things with workforce development around childcare, so we can create more and more of an incentive for people to say, well, hey, let's look at Kansas. Let's look at this particular part of Kansas. And as far as industrial sites, there's always a couple of more places we're looking at purchasing, but obviously that's got to be a balance with our day-to-day operations and how it goes. But we've always kind of just stayed in our little perimeter, and I think if you look to the south and you look a little bit to the west, you'll see that there's opportunities to continue to purchase land for industrial sites or housing developments if that's the case. So I think our future is bright. It's just a matter of running out of resources, and that's water, you check the box, labor force, you check the box. Another thing I'd like to mention, this particular model, when I got here, we already had the RLF fund. I don't know when it was established, but it was definitely before I got here, and it did some okay things. But it wasn't until we partnered with the chamber, and then a few years later that we partnered with the university, that it really had the horsepower behind it. So when the phone rang, it wasn't just my department head that was in or out that day. It was who's going to pick up the phone, and they know enough about the city, how it works. They know enough about what Matt can bring to the table with utilities. They know enough about how Dexter is going to help with the short-term planning and plan review and all those things. So it has been a successful model, but I do think it's really taken off because of the partnership, and I just want to make sure I acknowledge the work that they've put in, because it's not easy, but it is pretty fun when you have successes like we've had.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mayor, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the team and look forward to hopefully another year of growth.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Consider the following: 2026 amendment to Economic Development Services Contract, Pittsburg Area Chamber of Commerce. Consider staff request to amend the Economic Development Services Contract with the Pittsburg Area Chamber of Commerce.
Mayor, Commissioners, this is the first of 2 contracts that basically represent our economic development, 2 partners. Each of those contracts are for $65,000. There's no amendment to the amount this year. It would simply extend it for another year. And for the most part, these contracts are very similar to the ones that were passed originally in 2021. We have just been extending them, although I think 2 years ago we did increase the chamber. I think one of them was 50 and one of them was 60, and we increased them both to 65. But this is, the recommendation in front of you today is no increase in cost, but just for another year.
I have a question. If we don't take action on this tonight, and the reason why I say that, we have a new commissioner that has not seen the contracts. So I guess
I have them now. I just haven't had time to review them. Is the biggest thing.
Sure.
Is there something that you could?
Yeah. So I guess the question is, if we don't move forward today with these contracts, is there any major effect that will take place between now and the next meeting? Is anything tied to the timeframe? 'Cause
Well, it's not like insurance, where if we don't have insurance, we don't have insurance, but I'd have to defer to Blake and Wes, but we've had an ongoing relationship, so I don't think if you needed, it's going to be 3 weeks before the next meeting, but other than that.
Is the contracts the same as they have been in the past, essentially?
Yeah, it seems like, I think the last 3 years, they've literally just been amendments to extending the length another year, and then we did address the cost increase a couple of years ago.
I've been over the rest of the information. Again, things have been very busy the last few days, and I haven't had time to go through it. I would like to request to table this, so I'll have more time and have all the commissioners be able to see the contracts. I'm not sure if everybody has, and then we'll readdress it. It's not something again, the city's doing very well, and it sounds like what did the term Blake use, the secret sauce is working. I just like to see the contracts and then maybe get a little more information on the secret sauce. This thing that you guys are setting up with this other community come down, is that something the commission can be a part of?
Absolutely.
So we could working together and sit on that?
And again, Commissioner, they contacted us a couple of months ago and said, if we were able to get a group, would you host us? And we said, absolutely. And it was literally this week that they said, oh yeah, by the way, we're coming down in 3 weeks. So yeah, we're just starting to work on the agenda, but there will be an opportunity for you all to rub elbows with them.
Is there a projected start date?
It's the 12th. Whatever that Monday is, yeah.
Of April.
And we'll start it on the 13th.
Yeah. And then they'll be gone by 11 a.m. the next day.
I mean, I understand DJ's request to table it, but, I mean, this is just a continuation of a long-time contract that we've had with all the entities. I don't think there's any issues that have come up or that we've heard other than positive things. So, I mean, I think you could still look at the contract, but I think it's before us tonight. I really hate to kick the can down the road for 3 weeks.
I move to accept.
I second it.
Well, we're not through discussing it, so.
Or you got a motion and a second, though, so.
So, okay, there's been a motion and a second, but what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm not gonna be available for that first week of that, so I guess that won't accommodate the ability to get more information on it. But again, obviously this is a proven thing that's working, but again, I'm new, so I wanted more time to review this.
It would have been nice if the contract could have been included in this amendment.
Yeah, it wasn't a part of the original agenda packet, so I didn't get it until yesterday. But it was through asking Darren provided it to me, so we can move forward there.
And a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Done.
I would like to let him see the contract, but no. I have no problem with it overall, but no.
So, you're no?
That was item A.
That was item A.
Yeah, item B,
So,
essentially the same.
There's no
thing.
contract with the second one either, is there?
Yeah.
So,
This is a separate one, yeah. Again, I think I'll review them. Again, I can't be available for this projected deal. I'll review them, and then I'll reach out and ask the questions I'll have through both entities.
All right, so you got the vote. All right. Moving on to consider the following item B, 2026 Amendment to Business Development and Innovation Services Agreement, Pittsburg State University. Consider staff request to amend the Business Development and Innovation Service Agreement with Pittsburg State University.
Mayor, City Commission, same story. Second leg.
Move to accept.
Second.
Been a motion to accept and second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to item C. A&W Enterprise LLC, 3204 North Michigan Project. Consider the recommendation of Economic Development Advisory Committee to grant the request submitted by A&W Enterprise LLC for reimbursement in the amount of 10% of the costs associated with the improvements to the property located at 3204 North Michigan, with the city share not to exceed $7,059.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I meant to pull this up on a map a little bit earlier today so you can understand the location that we're discussing. But this is a request that came before the EDAC a couple of weeks ago, property owned by Gunnar Tony and Abby Reeser, who are both with us here tonight. I'll ask them to go ahead and come on up. They purchased this property at 3204 North Michigan and anticipating spending a little over $70,000 in improving the property, so very similar to the projects that have come to you before. They requested 10% of that on the back end of it, so the recommendation from the EDAC would be to reimburse them 10% with the city's share not to exceed $7,059. But maybe before you take any action, I want to ask Gunnar and Abby to maybe just share a little bit about the property and what their plans are for it.
I'd say maybe a year ago, I actually came up here before and had to get it rezoned. But I pretty much did everything's brand new for it. I've got Andrew Brown lined up. He does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He wants to open up, well, he wants to move anyways, and open up a Rise Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So he'll move in there. I've already done 90% of the work. Everything's new. The last part I'm just required to get occupancy is I've got to pour a solid surface parking lot, whether it's asphalt or concrete, and then I just want to finish a few things on the exterior of the building, and it will pretty much be done.
Is there any residential housing in that area?
Yes, that's why the reason I had to get it rezoned. It was a restaurant before, and then the VFW, then I purchased it. And
this is the old VFW?
Yes, the old VFW on Michigan.
Okay, I know now.
Across from Crawford County Mental Health.
That was Frasco's restaurant at
Yes.
one time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why did you have to get it rezoned? Was it commercial or?
It was zoned residential at some point, and then once I got to doing the work, it was zoned residential, and Dexter said, let's try to rezone it, so.
Okay.
So the primary use is gonna be a larger jujitsu
Yes.
facility than what you currently have them going. They're
Yes,
doing that now.
that's what, yeah.
Yeah. Which is good for the community too, because there's a lot of people involved in that right now.
Yep.
It's not by the same people as downtown.
Right, yeah, it's different people. No, I've had some people actually make comments to me about the construction that was done a little while ago on the parking lot and the new fence and everything.
Yep.
They were asking what was going on with that, and I didn't have any information to give them back until this last week, but I think it's a good thing that you're doing. I mean, it makes sense, and so you've got 8 employees. How many people are gonna be trained?
I don't know exactly what he's planning on hiring or what he's gonna do. That would be a question for Andrew.
Down the road, okay.
So you're going to buy it?
No, I own the building. I'm just trying to
You
get
own the
it
building.
finished so I can get
Okay.
occupancy. That's the biggest thing.
So they're not training in it right now because of the construction, or they?
Yeah, so I need to get the parking lot poured, and then after that, I believe Dexter would okay the occupancy. Because everything's not, all new HVAC, all new plumbing, new service, everything's done besides a little bit of exterior work and then the parking lot.
Do you plan on, or does he plan on by chance having any kind of tournaments or anything at that location? What?
I don't know. I don't know if it's big enough. I mean, if he does, I think he said he's gonna have maybe some people come down. But other than that, I don't know.
Thanks for revitalizing it.
Yeah.
Move to
Old
approve.
building.
Second.
So moved and seconded to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When the other place has to have the university.
Item E,
Bring in somebody.
consider
Minnesota.
City Connecting Link Improvement Program, CLIP project. Consider staff request to approve an agreement between the Secretary of Transportation's Kansas Department of Transportation and the City of Pittsburgh for City Connecting Link Improvement Program project for the pavement restoration, East 4th Street, K 126 from Canterbury Road to Victorian Drive.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is just a standard KDOT document to be executed by the mayor to facilitate this project. And I'll answer any other questions, but
The only question I have, we've spoke about this a couple of times. What's when this construction starts, the routing for the traffic, is it gonna be moved down to one, I don't remember last year. One lane for through?
they'll do lane shifts for this project, but I mean, it's still late 27 before it can bid, so.
No, that's all I have.
Move to approve.
Second.
And moved, and by Cheryl, and seconded by Stu. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Non-agenda reports and requests. Darren, do you have any? Nope. I have something. Tonight I want to address a serious issue affecting our city government. We have recently discovered that the city of Pittsburgh was the victim of a bank fraud incident involving an unauthorized financial transaction. First and foremost, I want to reassure our residents that we have taken this matter extremely serious. We have notified law enforcement, are working closely with financial institutions and investigators to determine exactly what occurred and to recover any funds that's lost. We are conducting an internal review of our financial process to ensure that additional safeguards are put in place to prevent something like this from happening again. Transparency is a top priority. We are committed to keeping the public informed every step of the way. Hopefully, good news will follow. I understand that this news is concerning, but please know that your city government has acted swiftly and responsibly. We will do everything in our power to protect the integrity of the city finances. We understand that there may be some questions. However, this is an ongoing investigation, and at this time, we are unable to provide additional details or answer questions. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Been moved and
Second.
seconded? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.